welcome to episode 15 of the Woolverine podcast. My name is Laura and I will be your host today. Today is Sunday, the 14th of May 2017, and I just wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to all my US viewers. We actually have our Mother's Day earlier in the year. I believe it's March, maybe a bit later. But we have our Mother's Day earlier than in the US. So I hope everyone is having a lovely Mother's Day and relaxing with some knitting and everyone's taking care of you. You can find me, I'll have all the social media stuff linked down below, the usual kind of Ravelry, Instagram. There's a group for the podcast over on Ravelry as well, and the show notes are on WordPress, and I'll have all the links for that down below. So, I hope everyone's been well this week. As you can see, I am banging my watch off the table and also coming to you from my kitchen. I usually record in my bedroom, but my parents are out this week, and I was babysitting my two younger sisters, who may make an appearance today. I had Jessica on before, and I had taken a clip of Sophia before, but she said she'd like to be on it today, so she might pop up later. So I suppose we'll get into the knitting. I've no finished objects to show you, but I do want to chat about the Weasley jumper that I had shown in a previous episode. If you want to have a look, for any new viewers, I talked about it last week and I think the week before that as well. But I knit a Weasley sweater for one of my friends in work, and I gave it to her on Friday. Yeah, I think it was Friday. And it's for her son. But unfortunately, it does not fit over his head. The neckband is a bit tight. So I'm going to take it back and unpick the cast off. In fairness, I cast off normally, and I should have probably cast off at least in pattern. Excuse me. So I was doing a 1x1 rib. So I probably should have at least cast off in a 1x1 rib bind off. But I have been doing some research, and there are stretchier bind offs out there. I don't want one that flares too much, so if anyone has any suggestions of good bind offs that are stretchy but don't flare too much and keep their shape, if you could leave them down below, any examples, that would be great. I will have a look through them. So that is all I wanted to say about that. So I'm going to take it back off her on Monday, unpick it and bind off again. I have plenty of yarn left over anyway, so if I need to add yarn, and I left a long tail for weaving in, so it should be fine. I think it should be okay. So, works in progress. I have three kind of works in progress to show you. I showed this last week, I believe. These are my May socks. So these are the Pebble socks by Mina Phillip, who is the Knitting Expat podcast. I'm sure everyone knows her. She's most popular in the podcasting world. She was actually the first podcast that I ever watched, and got me onto the whole podcast world. I was Googling how to knit faster. I used to knit English style, so I used to throw the yarn, and I found it quite slow and I wasn't getting through things very quick, so I was kind of Googling ways to knit faster, and I came across her How I Knit video. Well, first I came across Very Pink Knits flicking, and then I came across her How I Knit video because she's also a flicker, and that's basically how I found Mina, and it was a glorious day. So these are my Pebble socks. You can see the pattern. This yarn is King Cole Zigzag, and it is the Majestic colourway. Majestic. So I call them my Majestic Pebbles. And the colour is really fun. I really like it. it kind of reminds me, I had a post on Instagram, it kind of reminds me of David Bowie. It's like, I think of this kind of lightning bolt-y effect that the yarn has. Kind of reminds me of Ziggy Stardust or something. And the colours are quite retro. It like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Saved by the Bell or something. I don't know. But I really like them. So I'm knitting them cuff down 2 at a time. And I'm just doing the pattern on one side. So that's the stockinette side. And that's the textured side. So this pattern is just lightly textured, just adds a little small bit of interest, something different from just the basic bog standard vanilla sock. So what I wanted to do was try a new technique. So I'm going to do the afterthought heel. So I'm going to chop up that knitting. So I'm just kind of knitting like a tube sock, and then I'm going to follow the Kirby Werby tutorial on YouTube, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. If not, it'll be in the show notes so you can go reference it, but it seems to be quite a popular tutorial for the afterthought heel. So I'm going to give that a go, and I'll be doing that in the red as well, which is just a skein I bought for heel tuffs and Coes. Heel, cuff and toes. And it's the Sheepias. I'm not too sure how to pronounce that. I believe it's Dutch. Sheepias. That. And it is in the colour 1545. And I'm going to use that for my afterthought heel and my toes. And I thought this yarn in particular would be good for the afterthought because I didn't want to break up the what's this kind of striping, pooling effect, zigzagging effect that the yarn is having. I think they're pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with them. I've been working on them on my commute to work. So that's my socks, and I'm keeping them in my Maker's Haven bag, my favourite bag of all time. Amber, Maker's Haven. I'll have her shop linked. Okay. What will I go to next? I will go to my latest cast on, which I cast on yesterday. It is, I was talking about it last week as well, it is the Angel Hat by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears, who is also a podcaster. She podcasts with her husband Dan, and their podcast is really well known as well. I'm sure most of you know about it, but it's really good, so I'd recommend it. So the Angel Hat is a free pattern on Ravelry that Kay has come up with, and I've just done the ribbing. There is like about 3 inches of ribbing, which is a lot. It's 1 by 1 rib, and I've got the ribbing done now. So I've just started the pattern, which is predominantly rib as well, with an extra, with the third round of, I think it's purling. Haven't got that far. But yeah, it's just a very simple hat, and I'm knitting it in this colour, which is, what's it called? Nimbus Grey, Malabrigo Rios. And it is lovely and squishy, and it kind of looks a bit purple there. It has a bit of a purple hue on the camera, but it is really nice, and I really like Rios for a hat. And I am knitting a worsted weight hat in May. Sure, why not? It is a really nice day actually here. We've been lucky with the weather this week here in Ireland. Usually it's quite rainy. We did have rain on Thursday and Friday, I think, but the rest of the week has been really nice. No, it was Friday and Saturday, but the rest of the week has been really nice. So I'm kind of, because this yarn is quite, it's a heavy weight, it's knitting up quite quickly. So yeah, the ribbing is done. It's so squishy and so nice, and I think it's going to be a lovely hat. I'm toying with the idea of getting a faux fur pom-pom for it. I was watching Katie of Inside number 23, and she has just knit one. She inspired me to knit mine, and she was going to make a pom-pom out of her leftover yarn, which I might do as well. I'll see what I have left over. But I'm thinking maybe faux fur, maybe a kind of a white one. I've seen ones that you can get that are kind of white with black tips, or I might get black and grey. I'll see what I want to do, and if I have yarn left for a pom-pom, I might just use a yarny pom-pom. So, for my third and final whip, I am going to get a special guest. So please hold on there. Would you like to introduce yourself, special guest?
I'm Sophia, and I'm Laura's little sister.
She is my little sister, unless you might have thought that she was older than me. She's quite tall and big for her age. So she is 10. Are you 10? Yeah. She's 10. And I am currently knitting her a jumper. So I think I talked about this a little bit last week. I'm knitting her the square and stripes sweater. I think it's square and stripes. I always want to go and say stars and stripes, which is a type of bagel in one of the bagel shops here that I always get. But it's the Square and Stripes by Vera Valimaki, and this is the progress I've made. I've actually made a lot of progress this week.
Yeah.
So it is quite a boxy sweater. It kind of reminds me of the Hohi Locatelli boxy. So it's a nice roomy sweater, and the yarn I'm using is, this is Signet DK Superwash in the shade 2999, I think, and then the stripes are in Maker's Haven. Doesn't have a name, but it's in a DK, and this is it in the cake. So it's kind of a pinky purple, has little speckles in it of blue and red and all sorts. Yeah, but that's the yarn, and it's knit on 5mm needles for the main body, and then I think it goes down to 4.5 for the ribbing. But we're going quite quick on this. Would you like to model it? Look at it. So it's going to be quite big and roomy, which would be nice.
Yeah.
You don't like anything too tight fitting, do you?
No.
So I think
it's soft.
Squishy, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to do I think I have to do the same amount of stripes again, and then we're almost at the bottom. But I'm going to get her to try it on once I have what I think the length is done, and see if we need to add more or rip some out or something like that. So this is the jumper that we have so far. And Sophia, what do you think of it?
I like it. I like the purple. And I like how the pinky purple bit goes with it.
Yeah.
And it's nice and soft as well.
It's squishy.
Yeah.
And I think when I wash it as well, it'll be a little bit softer. It's not it isn't actually the softest one I've had. I think this is actually softer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But this is kind of more rustic, if you will. And I think once I wash it though, it'll soften up.
Yeah.
But that is all. The sleeves are kind of a 3/4 length sleeve. It's kind of like a drop shoulder. And the seams where you pick up are exposed, which is kind of nice. It looks like a little braid or something, which I quite like. But that is all we have to say. Do you have anything else to add, Sophia?
No.
Sophia wanted to be on the podcast because she was feeling left out because
Jess has been on it.
Jess has been on it, and
I was only on it, but I didn't know I was going to be on it.
Yeah, I just recorded.
Because you took a little video or something?
Yeah, I was teaching Sophia how to knit, and I took a video. Actually, how is the knitting going?
It's okay. I haven't done a lot of it.
You haven't practiced?
No, but I think about a week or so ago, I started
pick that up again. Yeah. Pick up that knitting. But yeah, no, I was teaching Sophia how to knit, and I'm going to have to sit down and have a follow-up session with her, I think. Just to
the thing that I was making, it was I was probably going to be a scarf with a giant hole at the start of it, or kind of in the middle of it, because when we were doing it, I kind of skipped a few of them, and there was just this giant hole in it.
Yeah, she made a couple yarn overs just to add a bit of interest. That's what I think it was. so she had, I think he had trouble, the most trouble he had was kind of casting on,
yeah.
was starting.
Yeah.
I found that difficult as well, just kind of figuring out what way to hold my hands, and it was all,
No, and every time I did it, it was like, wait, what?
What is going on?
How
So
do we get it back on then?
at the end of the day, I just cast on, and then I just start teaching her how to knit. And did I teach you how to purl as well?
I think you did.
Yeah. So we had a quick lesson.
Yeah.
I have to actually do that again with you.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can be on the podcast. Yes, but that is all I have to say about that sweater. Do you have anything to add, Sophia?
No?
No? So Sophia will be back, I'm sure, one day when she's knitting. Get knitting, Sophia.
Okay.
Go practice. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
So that's Sophia. She's a little cutie. So I'll move on to, that's all my whips. Yeah, the 3 of them are the main progress I've made this week. So hopefully I'll have a finished object of some kind next week. Which will it be? Ooh. So moving on to dream knitting, or what is up next. So last week I was talking about baby sweaters. There's one that I have to knit. Well, I don't have to, but I'm knitting for a friend out of baby cashmerino, and someone pointed out to me that I was planning on doing baby cashmerino and Debbie Bliss. They're both Debbie Bliss, but the Rialto 4-ply. And baby cashmerino is actually a sport weight, so it is 5-ply, and the weights are slightly different, so I'm not sure how they'd knit up. So what I might do is order a small ball of the baby cashmerino in a kind of neutral colour. I saw a couple. There was either slate, which is kind of a grey-y neutral, and then there was clotted cream, I think, which was more of a browny, biscuity kind of neutral colour. So I might order that. So I'm looking for suggestions for striped sweaters. So that same person actually suggested a couple of sweaters that were really pretty. There was one, and she actually linked particular projects, which was really helpful. So thanks so much. That were actually striped. So the pattern may not have been striped, but they had been adapted by someone who had knit them to include stripes. So there was the No Fuss baby sweater, which was really nice. I liked. And then there was one of them that had like the buttons all the way down the side, which was quite interesting, which I might do. I know that I think I like that one the most out of them that I'd seen, so I may do that. Also I saw the baby, or the nuggets, the baby nugget baby, the Mina Phillip baby sweater pattern, which I think is a nugget, the nugget sweater. I'm going to stop saying nugget and baby and sweater in the same sentence. It's one of them variations of words in some order that I might knit as well. I just really enjoy knitting baby clothes. And people are always having babies, so it's handy to have them. But speaking of Mina, the reason I saw that pattern was because I am planning on knitting the Snow Day shawl, which is a Mina Phillip design, and I am knitting that out of this fellow, which is the Maker's Haven DK. I got 2 skeins of it, so the same one that's used in the stripes of the sweater that I'm knitting. This is a one-of-a-kind skein that I got, and I'm using this, and then it's an unusual colour combination, I think, but I think they go quite well together. So this was lying down on the ground, or on my bed, after I'd finished knitting my Weasley sweater. So I knit the letter in this colour, and it was just resting on my bed. And then I start winding the skein for the stripes and square, and this kind of plopped on top of it. And I thought that I really love gold and purple together. It's one of my favourite combinations. So these 2. And then I was like, I need a third colour. So I went into my stash and I found this fellow. So So this is Fine Fish Yarns DK and it's called Without You. And it is really pretty. There's like creams and purples and kind of there's gold tones up here. I'm not sure if you can see that. The sun's gone behind the clouds, so my light may be changing. So I think I'm going to do it in this 3 colours. And if you've seen the pattern for the Snow Day shawl, all 3 colours kind of play together at one point or interact. So there's these 2 which go together, I think. These 2 which go together. And these 2 are the only ones that I'm not too sure about with their matchiness. But I think they match. And I know the colour combination is a bit odd. I think it'd be interesting. So that's coming up next. I'll probably try and finish the sweater before I cast this on because it's quite a big project. I don't want to have too big projects on the needles at one go. And then another project that I've been looking for a pattern for is my Hedgehog Fibres sock yarn, and I'm thinking I want to do a cabled sock for it. So I'd seen, I like the socks on a plain pattern. There was another easy cable pattern that I seen that I liked. I can't remember the name of it, but I will have it linked in the show notes. And then there was a fully cabled sock that Katie's working on inside number 23. But I can't remember the name of that either. I'll have that linked down below as well. But I'm thinking maybe socks on a plain because it's quite simple. It's just one cable down one of the sides of the socks, which might be just a little bit of interest. I need to do something special for my special yarn, which I love very much. It's the pistachio colourway by Hedgehog Fibres, and I love it. So I think that's all the knitting chatter that I have for this week. Moving on to my week chattery goodness. So this week has been quite quiet. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I was starting a new job. So I've done that. I've started now in about a week and a half. And it's quite different to what I was doing before, so I'm finding I'm quite sleepy in the evenings when I get home because I have to think a lot. I have to think about stuff more than I would have as I was so comfortable in my previous job. So my poor brain is getting a workout, which is good. But it is tiring, so most of the evenings I've been quite tired. I'm making a marked effort to get out and about a bit more in the evenings just for a walk, just because I'm trying to get a bit fitter and just get a bit of exercise in the evenings, as I'm quite static in my day-to-day life. I work in an office, so I'm desk-based, so I don't get to move around much. So I like to try and get out in the evenings, especially when the weather's nice, to get a bit of a walk in. That's what I've been trying to do this week. Other than that, there's nothing been out of the ordinary. I haven't really watched anything in particular either. So this week has been quite quiet. I've had plenty of time to do some knitting in the evenings and decompress, which is good. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about my upcoming holidays. So Dave and I, earlier in the year, discussed how cool it might be if one of us arranged a holiday and didn't tell the other person where we were going. So they picked the destination and booked the flights and the accommodation, and it would be a surprise. So Dave decided that he would do it this year. So I gave all control to him to arrange the holiday, and he has done that. So originally when we were discussing it, we said that we wouldn't tell each other where we were going up until really close to the time. But we're really bad at keeping secrets from each other and keeping things a surprise. So he's told me. So in October, we will be going to New York City! Yay! I'm so happy. I'm so excited. So New York was definitely always on my list of places that I wanted to go. It was somewhere I wanted to go more so than Dave, but he has kindly obliged my desire to go, and he arranged the holiday. So I think it's actually better that he didn't keep it as a surprise. As much fun as that might be, at least now I can help arrange kind of the things that we want to see and the tours and the things we want to do. So I definitely want to go to Broadway, go see a show, which he enjoys going to see them, but he wouldn't be as into them as I am. So he's letting me pick which one we go see and to arrange it, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's like 160-ish days, maybe slightly less, but who's counting? But it's a far way off. We have the whole summer to get through, which is nice. But it's nice to have something to look forward to as well. In October, which is a nice time I think to go. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I've already looked up some yarn shops. I probably won't be able to, I'll probably go to one or two, dependent on their location and what we're up to that day. Because it is our holiday for the year, I don't want to take up too much time knitting, fibre related. So we will probably just pop into one or two, and I will have a budget, unfortunately. But it's all good, we're going to New York and I can't wait. So I think that's all my chatter for this week. It was lovely catching up with you, and I will see you all next week.